This is Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News of iQmetrix's Summit X conference, the first one in a number of years. It's a big telecom retail event, and I'm here with Jeff Moore, who's principal at Wave7 Research. Jeff, thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure.
So you are one of the prominent researchers in this market, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I think that Wave7 Research covers wireless retail probably more closely than anyone else in the industry.
And let's define the term. What are we talking about? What industry do you look at, actually?
So Wave7 Research has coverage of postpaid competition, prepaid competition, smartphone competition, and fixed wireless competition. And this coverage causes us to look very closely at what's going on in retail. And when I say retail, principally I'm meaning the stores of all the carriers you could name: Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, Boost, Cricket, Metro by T-Mobile, as well as the national retailers like Walmart, Target, and Best Buy, for example.
So you have a headline for us.
I do. And this is slightly surprising, but the number of prepaid carrier stores actually increased during the first half of this year by 114. And that's a shocker, because I can remember the days of headlines during the pandemic that carrier retail was going to go by the wayside, that you don't need that. Everything's going to be done online in the future, and you don't need carrier stores. But here we are in 2024, and the number of prepaid carrier stores actually grows by more than 100 in the beginning of this year. Yeah, so it's surprising that the number of prepaid carrier stores is growing this year. But the reason for that is that Verizon is investing very heavily in its total wireless stores. They now have about 1,000 open. And so that number of 1,000 actually outweighs greatly the number of Boost Mobile stores that are closing, the number of Cricket wireless stores that are closing, and the number of Metro by T-Mobile stores that are closing. So overall, during the first half of this year, we've seen growth in the number of prepaid carrier stores.
And the net result is that the wireless retail market is shrinking way slower than anyone thought it is. Is that
shrinking
correct?
Much slower than anyone thought. Yeah. So the number of postpaid carrier stores, by which I mean Verizon stores, AT&T stores, and T-Mobile stores, it is shrinking for all three carriers, but not at an atrocious pace. It's shrinking at a modest pace, and by the way, that's counterbalanced to some extent by the number of cable stores. So the big cable companies, and I'm thinking in particular Spectrum and Xfinity, they've actually been opening a small number of stores, and they now have the top four cable cos collectively have about 1,500 stores open now.
So in a way, actually, if we were to broaden the way we define the market, there's possibly growth, because after all, those stores sell cellular services, mobility services, home security, and a lot of different products that are sold at an AT&T or Verizon store.
Yeah, if you add in the number of postpaid stores, prepaid stores, and cable stores, I think probably we're looking at overall some shrinkage in 2024, but it's an extremely slow amount of closures. And I think that anyone hearing this in 2020 would have been absolutely shocked.
Now, we're at the iQmetrix event, and iQmetrix concerns itself with point of sale, but a lot of other things, right? And
right.
I'm informed they do many, many things to help the retail companies, telecom retail companies. What's your message for this community, for the community of people that use iQmetrix products to run their businesses?
Yeah, I think that the telecom activation process is something that is complex. It takes time. It's not like you're just buying a book or something, which you could just do off the internet. And also, there are layers of complexity to the transaction. Do you need device protection? Do you need a case to go with it? Do you need a charger? Should you get internet service from T-Mobile or Verizon? So there are a lot of things that you have to consider during the activation process, as well as the account process. So it's all very complex. It's all very engaged. And there are people like iQmetrix who are trying to simplify and improve that process for retailers.
So Jeff, are you speaking at this conference?
Yes, I'll be delivering sort of a State of the Union address about wireless carrier retail stores. So looking forward to that. And one other point worth mentioning is that, so we've talked a lot about carrier stores, but also it's wireless is still sold via national retailers. And the national retailer that I think has done this the best is Walmart, because there are more than 3,600 Walmart stores out there, and they have specialized reps in nearly 2,000 of those, where they can sort of take you by the hand and pitch a phone to you. They're really focused on postpaid sales, Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, but they can also help you with prepaid sales. So I think Walmart has really put together a very strong retail model for selling wireless, and we've seen Best Buy, for a variety of reasons, sort of fade a bit. The number of stores is shrinking. Their emphasis on wireless is shrinking. T-Mobile has exited the channel, so we see strength from Walmart and less strength from Best Buy these days.
And Walmart is a giant player. I mean, there's just no place where they're not.
There's no question. They have a very strong market share, and I mean, you could talk about just one brand alone. So, Straight Talk, for example, one of Verizon's big prepaid brands, they have something like 9 million subscribers, and Walmart is literally the only place where you can buy it.
What's the state of national retail?
The state of national retail is actually solid. So it varies by retailer. There are some that are failing, some that are going bankrupt. We're seeing some weakness in the malls, but we're also seeing other malls that are flourishing. So in national retail, actually, if you look at some of the data that comes out from Placer AI, they're showing traffic growth at the really big and important retailers. Thinking about the Costco, which is I think has the strongest growth, seeing traffic growth also at Walmart, at Target, at Sam's Club. So I think that the state of national retail is strong.
And so, in a way, it seems like this industry specifically mirrors that. Aren't we seeing that same phenomenon of we have places which are just booming, and then other places which are probably just going to be converted into something else?
I think that's true. And one thing that distinguishes the wireless industry is that it's sort of a high-touch sort of industry. The activation process is difficult and complex, and it involves a lot of things,
Right.
and a lot of things you need to know. So it's not just like buying a book, which you could do anywhere. So that's one reason for I think the enduring strength of wireless retail.
And it is an investment for most people. They're going to be living with the phone for 2 or 3 years, maybe longer,
Right.
and it's a significant financial commitment.
Absolutely, it is, and people are actually paying more for phones these days and keeping them for longer. Some of the new iPhones cost more than $1,000 each, and so if you're going to invest that much, you don't want to just do it whimsically.
And with regard as we close up our podcast today with our hosts here, iQmetrix, what do you see their role as today in this industry?
I think they have a big role because the wireless activation process is very complex. There are a lot of moving parts. There's a lot going on. There's a lot that retailers can sell in addition to just the wireless service. So I think it's a good thing that there are companies out there like iQmetrix who can help put all these pieces together.
Jeff, I want to thank you for joining me today. Where can we learn more about Wave7 research?
Follow me on Twitter at Wave7Jeff. And also we have a website, which is wave7research.com.
Jeff, thank you very much indeed for informing us about what's happening. I hope we get to do more of this.
Glad to be here.